So, good afternoon, ladies. It is so awesome to have you with me this afternoon and to see your wonderful faces. Welcome to an awesome session of YouMaTTER. And what YouMaTTER is really about about all of us and these incredible things that we are doing to shift and change the narrative of Africa by contributing, collaborating, and making such a incredible impact and difference in the way that we do things through our work, through our communities, and everything that we do. And then the T's that come after the You Matter is the first T is about teaching. It's about life experiences and the legacies that we want to bring. The second T is about touching, the lives that we touch through what we do, how we individually contribute. And the E is for educating, sharing insights, and knowledge is forever. So, life dedicated to lifelong learning, that's like such an exciting journey. And it's incredible that I get to share that with you this afternoon. And the R is for revealing, taking the opportunity to reveal and be innovative through the journeys and the things that we do together. So thank you so much for joining me and welcome.
Thank you very much, Leah. We're huge fans of yours, so it's really a privilege to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. So with that, let me introduce the first person speaking. So I have the incredible Charlotte Butler, Jocelyn Broderick, and of course, Judy Ditchfield, founders of Performance Role Play Training, which is an incredible innovation. So it's funny when you say that you are a fan, right? Because you know very well that I'm a fan. I've been chasing you down and kind of going, I want to be, one day I'm going to join you guys,
Called a mutual admiration society.
Yes, because you actually, I think the work that you do, everything that performance role play does moves you. And I think when something moves you and it inspires you, you want to be part of it. You want to see how you can support, contribute, and make it come alive. So I think that's really, really exciting. Please tell me, share a little bit of that context and history. How did this come about? How did you come about with performance role play training?
Jude?
Okay. So, Leah, it happened many, many years ago. Charlotte was the first one in. So years back, they were looking for people who could do role play in South Africa. And what that meant was improvising in a business context. So off they went looking for people, and they went to Kenya, and they found some actors because they were looking for actors, a British-based company. And when they got to Kenya, the actors kept on saying, "Give us a script, please. Please, can we have a script?" And they said, no, you can't have a script because this is improvised. So eventually they decided, let's try and find some other actors and see if we could find those actors improvising, which they did, and they came to South Africa. And Shah was one of the first 4 that they introduced to business simulation in the workplace. So Shah was the first one in, and it was used to assess whether people were in the right positions in an organization or not, whether they should be promoted or whether they should be taken out of those positions and put in a different space. So a huge amount of pressure on us as actors because you needed to understand business, but also we were working with the people that we were working. It wasn't about us as actors. So suddenly we had to be only dealing with what we had in front of us. So they did it with 4 actors, realized they wanted to go throughout Africa, so introduced more people. And as we went along, more of us got involved. The process was so powerful. We could see the potential immediately. And we kept on saying we should start one in South Africa. Let's start a company in South Africa because this is such powerful and we could see the impact. And people weren't quite ready for it. So we tried for a bit, and then eventually we had it in the background. And then suddenly we started introducing it till we now a full-time business simulation company.
Wow.
I'm proud of the work we do. Yeah.
With a beautiful team, with a team of really, really special and talented actors, and talented in the world of understanding business as well, not just as performers.
What an incredible journey. That's so exciting to transform. And I think I was speaking to Ashley Dodds not too long ago, and he was talking about the journey of how he transformed into being an actor. And it's so amazing. It's so rich, the journey and the foundation. But I think what's even more incredible is the fact that you found the realness behind the power of helping people, a journey through being the better selves or unlimited potential of who they can be, which is really exciting. So if you're joining us this afternoon, I have the wonderful ladies from Performance Role Play Training, and we just got an amazing introduction of how they actually started off Performance Role Play Training. And today we're delving into Your Wellness Matters. With the new work order and everything changing so drastically, for a long time we've been talking about, let's be future fit, let's be future ready. And we've come up with strategies and plans. And it's amazing how when you're in the moment, all of that just flies off the handle and the window, because you actually have to deal with the realness, the human being. And this is some of the magical elements that I've seen Performance Role Play Training perform. And I thought it was incredible that you've now designed this incredible workshop and journey. And I've put out teasers this week on the short scenarios that you've done. And I'd like to find out more about that. So you positioned how Performance Role Play Training started, and it was the opportunity to helping individuals in the workplace identify their skills and talents and their placements in there. That's a long stretch journey into people's emotions and the realness of life. How are you translating that message, and how have you packaged the wellness program in terms of health, wellness, and awareness, in terms of matching that into the workplace and organizations for individuals?
Yeah, it's very interesting what you're saying about getting ready for this new wave and what we're doing, and I think everybody's trying to manage with so many technology. We've all been waiting for the fourth industrial revolution, and bam, we've been saying we're in it, and we certainly are. But we're negotiating a whole new technological field. We're negotiating new rules of engagement and new rules of working. We're working from home. We having to have meetings online, and all of that is important and necessary as we navigate our way through this new world. But what does seem to be left behind has been the person, the people that have to manage all of this. How are they doing? I can't stand it. I can't another Zoom meeting, and it's a toss up between that or throwing myself into the swimming pool in this weather, which is can give you an idea of just how frustrated I get with these meetings. So we wanted to have a look at, we wanted to address the issue of mental health. What's happened to people in the workplace and at home when they're negotiating children with schoolwork and all of that. And Judy was sort of talking about we need to address mental health. And she was in fact saying this last year already, and we started doing this last year.
Oh, wow. And how have you actually connected? What was the go ahead point for you to believe that this will work, that this would make a difference? What was the trigger for you to actually say, you know what, we already are in organizations helping people transform and find their full potentials, which is a different exercise if you think about it, because then you're pushing the person to their limits and drawing out their skills. You can't necessarily push people's emotions out, or you can't actually, without the, one would say, medical practitioner in place, a psychologist to help you, a coach perhaps that's registered to kind of help you through the psychological issues that you'll be facing. What was this is how we can make a difference, and what were the elements you needed to consider to actually having this as an option?
I think part of our work, Leah, you're right, is pushing buttons. That's what we do as part of the business simulation. How do we challenge people, get them a little bit vulnerable so that in the vulnerability there's learning? And most of our work is involved around conversations. How do we have effective conversations? And through the role play that we've been doing for many years, an issue that came out consistently was people's lack of being able to converse about issues that were really important to them. Very easy to talk about that person did this or that person did that, but when it actually became to being vulnerable and addressing their own issues, it was difficult. Then with the whole COVID thing happening, we started seeing messages coming through. I'm a big social media girl. I love social media. And I was seeing the underlying cries for help consistently. Geez, anyone else feeling overwhelmed? Oh, anybody? Oh, I don't know how I'm going to handle kids and work. I can't. Who said we were going to work harder than we did before? So these messages were constantly coming up. And we started to realize people needed to talk about it. Because the work we do in the workplace, they talk about their skills, strategy, they talk about goals, they talk about KPIs, they talk about all the right things. However, they very seldom address their own personal needs. And we know, every single one of us, not one of us sitting here now, can say we haven't experienced some form of anxiety, some form of stress during these periods. I don't think people have not experienced some form. So we thought, how do we then give a safe space for people to start having those conversations? And I do some work in team effectiveness where we challenge people to look at a moment in their life that literally changes who they are. And part of that process is me telling a very authentic story. And I talk about my sister dying, which was, as you can imagine, hugely traumatic, and how it gave me a way of seeing things differently. And because I allow myself to be vulnerable with everybody else, this has given everybody else the permission to do the same. So in those sessions, either me or the other facilitators that run it, it's been a sort of conversation starter on how people see things differently. So when this came up, we thought, how can we create those conversation starters so that people can look at it and go, oh, that's how I feel. That's what I'm experiencing. That's exactly what I'm going through. So we created real monologues. So we've got a single actor telling personal stories in the most authentic way, and they're moving and they're touching, but you can see yourself. And hopefully that'll be the catalyst for people to be able to engage the issues.
I think the big thing as well is that people are afraid to speak up, because people at the moment are saying, I can't say anything about how I'm feeling. I can't let my boss know that I'm falling apart, because they're retrenching, or people are losing their jobs all the time. So people are pretending a lot of the time to be stronger than they are. And our business is to observe. Our business is to read what people are saying, and we really want to be able to help people to have a voice, and therefore be supported by their organizations, hopefully.
Leah, can I just say one quick, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but
No,
just one thing I read about is that on the mental health page of SADAG, the South African Anxiety and Depression Organization, they were saying that depression has a huge impact on society right now, and that 218 billion rand is lost in productivity due to depression. 218 billion rand. So if we do not address mental health issues, the impact to business and to everybody's lives is going to be enormous. And I think we need to start talking. We seriously do.
Thank you, Judy. And thank you, Jocelyn, for adding that. And it does lead me to my next question, which says, it's already difficult enough to get individuals to open up about their personal lives in a workplace, right? So, and we all, well, record shows or history shows that people do that and hold it back because they feel that if you speak out, then you're singled out and could possibly also lose your job or picked on it. And having mental issues could possibly get me to lose my job because then I can't perform, right? We don't even get mental health days away from work. It falls under just regular being ill. And like you said, Judy, it contributes. I mean, depression is one of the highest out of the many mental illnesses that one could be impacted by, but depression being one of the most biggest ones in South Africa in terms of the stats that we're looking at, especially at a time like now. How do you get somebody to open up and trust that? Also, we also know that sometimes, even if it's a private circle, like this is a safe space, so what happens here stays here, but you're doing it in the space of my workplace. It's being paid by my employer. So why should I trust you? And also the if I could call it a stigma that comes with, but if I'm in a group of people, then they'll see that I have issues, then I'll be labeled and I'll be talked about, then further making me even more uncomfortable. How do you get that trust? How do you get people to believe that what you're going to help me with is safe, that it won't leave me worse, that I will not be without a job, that my colleagues will not make fun of me? How do I get to that place of it's okay for me to be authentic and share with you, and that what you're going to do is going to help me?
Yeah, I think what you said is so important. There is a stigma. There's no two ways about it. There is still a terrible stigma attached to depression and any mental illness, or as it's perceived. And there are actually a limited number of healthcare workers, which does send a message, an indication that it's not taken seriously. So you're right, there will be a stigma attached, and people are, you can open yourself up to judgment, and it's going to be a tough job for the facilitator to be able to make somebody feel safe, and as you say, in a safe space. But that's exactly what Judy was saying, was that if you, with the monologues and the videos that we have filmed, it's going to really put them in a safe place, because people are going to be unpacking and discussing that person's problem, not mine, that person's problem. And we can all safely discuss somebody else's problem. But within that will lie your own questions, your own thoughts, your own fears, your own needs. And that was why the videos were started, because there will be conversation starters and unpack. And I think once you start seeing that everyone else is talking about that, or somebody else has experienced the same thing, it's going to give them permission to speak and realize it's not a stigma. I remember years ago speaking to a family friend who was a psychologist. I won't take antidepressants, and I won't do this, and I do. When she said, you take a Panado for you have a headache, and I said, yeah, so definitely. So why would you not take antidepressants when you're depressed? And I just realized that I too had been guilty of the stigma of being depressed.
You know, Leah, I think also going on from that is, I think, for some reason and I think it's worldwide, and the work that we've done, we've seen it worldwide, but particularly now here in South Africa, we are so skills based, and we've lost our ability to see humanity in organization. And I think the trend now is moving back towards, we've got to take care of the person if we want productivity and our workplace to function optimally. We've got to take care of the person, because otherwise we start having things like absenteeism, we start having issues, or people not delivering what they are capable of delivering. But I think it's going to take us to be brave enough to start the conversations. Everybody knows we need it, and a lot of organizations we work with say, no, we're very focused on the person. And then the moment somebody starts getting personal, it is that thing of, no, I don't want them to get all emotional on me. So they're actually not dealing with the person. But I think it's becoming a critical thing. And I think somehow other areas in the world, in Africa, all over the world are starting to see its absolute essential place in the workplace. And we, especially now, people are under pressure. They have to deal with it.
So thank you for stepping into that one, which is the next thought I have, is if we move away from the individual and we're talking about the organization. And yes, organizations, you know, we have some great organizations out there that are invested in their people and their people's well-being. What happens where organizations are saying, well, actually, I think that we pay people enough to get medical cover, to get counseling, to get those costs of taking care of your personal needs. This is not our area of focus for us to be focusing around mental wellness issues. Actually, we could talk about well-being, and that in this time, be a little extra careful around how you're not burning yourself out, how you're spending the right. Why should we care about spending extra money into wellness, where we could take that money and save some jobs that we're critically losing very quickly because our business is taking a burn? How do you, what is your response in saying these are the key takeaways, that with this is your extra benefit of seeing your strategic results because you've got you've invested in your people? How do I see this investment? Because, you know, if my business is bleeding really quickly, I would rather say, take that money, let's save some jobs, let's save productivity of this company, rather than worry about the wellness or mental health wellness issues, because you're right now getting medical aid cover. You're able to get help. Why should the organization cover this particular aspect?
Because I think it is saving productivity. I mean, at the end of the day, if people are having mental health issues and they in a deep depression, they're too anxious, they can't focus on their job, they can't communicate deeply with other people, and the productivity will go down. There's no question. So it's you have to invest in your people in order to get back from your people in the best way possible. It's for me, it's like a non-negotiable when it comes to any.
No-brainer, yeah.
No-brainer.
Yeah, short-sighted, very short-sighted.
A little deeper on there. Thank you for that response. But I want to go in a little deeper to saying, yes, it's definitely worth the while invest, but I'm actually looking for the attachment into this particular program that you've designed. Is what will they walk away with? What's the benefit of going through the program that you've designed, right? Because I want to see, if I put my people through this, if the organization, you say, well, you know, productivity will definitely improve. Happy people, happy customers is a healthy organization. But through this program, let's just say, I don't know, I've got a group of people in an organization that are very conservative and they don't share too much. We've never really had issues, but yes, we've heard about it. And we've got a clinical psychologist that, you know, people can book and see, and we've got ICAS that people can connect with as part of the organizational structure. By coming to performance role play, and let's say I choose that the entire organization go through this journey, what are the values, what are the benefits of being proactive, perhaps is the question, rather than reactive to seeing results of what may impact people?
Sorry, Shal, if you go.
No, you go.
No, I just wanted to say that these conversation starters make people feel. And because people feel and they experience firsthand by watching them what actually resonates with themselves, that's what takes it into a different place altogether. It's not just talking heads. It's experiential.
Sorry, Joss. Yeah, it is that. But to go to a company and say, why should we do it? I think it sends a message to their staff that they do actually care about their staff and their staff's mental health, mental well-being. And it helps to destigmatize the notion that there's something wrong with me if a company is prepared to to support their staff. If the company sees the benefit of this, they're already going to be getting more commitment from their staff and go, okay, I am valued. I'm actually valued. Because at this point, people are not feeling valued. They're feeling they're on the treadmill. Everyone is scared and they don't know where we're going. And if a company says, I'm going to invest in my people, that sends a very strong message to all the staff. And I think that for me would be, again, a no-brainer. As to why would I do this? Yes, we are going to all fall into the trap, and companies will fall into the trap. Is, we're retrenching people. We've got this we've got to do. We've got to put up what you call these. People can't be sitting next to each other, and we have to have this and that. And I can see, and this was never in the capex. We were never going to spend this money. But we're now in the new world. So how do we do this? And we need to get to the point where we are embracing our staff, where we are holding them and carrying them. Yes, they can go off one by one and get therapy. The frightening thing is that people aren't always aware that they are dealing with depression or anxiety. They're not even aware that what they just had, they think they had a heart attack, but it was actually an anxiety attack. Mm. So they get depressed. They don't go and get any help, any assistance, because they don't think they need it. It's a dirty word. There's a stigma attached. They're not mad, as some people think they might be, because they're having a bad day. We were so used to having a bad day. So people don't even realize they need help. And what we're hoping for is that when they watch these videos, they go, oh my word, that's me. Mm. Oh, it has a name. Oh, something can be done about it. And the company cares enough to have exposed me to this to help me.
Also, so sorry, Judy. And so once I've seen it, and I said that one, the one that's not sleeping with the issues, the cooking and the meetings and everything. I don't even have bathroom breaks happening here, so that's me. What is the next step? Is this feedback then? Do I, the individuals, go back to my organization and say I need the help? Does performance role play say some of your staff have reached out to us and said this is the help they need? Is this clinical psychologist involved? What happens there when I identify where I'm at?
Part of that conversation will end off the session looking at what are some skills that we can start looking at to help us manage those levels of stress, to help us manage the anxiety. What are small, and we're not talking about like every time saying to somebody, you need a clinical psychologist. We're not saying that, but sometimes just knowing there are people that are going through the same thing as you, knowing that you can ask for help, seeing that, say, Jocelyn has gone through the same thing as me, and I can suddenly ask for help around it because I know she's gone through it too. Sometimes it's small things. It's being able to, when I'm that anxious, just to be able to say, sorry guys, can I just take a 2-minute break from the Zoom meeting? I'll be back, because they know they're not coping with the meeting, rather than putting a camera off and just disappearing off the meeting. It's small tools to make it manageable. However, we do realize some of these issues are going to be big issues for certain individuals. Yep. And we do realize we're looking at some of the issues are suicide, money issues. People are in financial challenging times right now, retrenchment issues. These are big issues. So some people will most definitely need support. And yes, we believe that the EAP should be supporting this program. We do think we need support from there. We do believe we have got several clinical psychologists, industrial psychologists, occupational therapists who are working alongside us, and who, by the way, have endorsed this so much and say this is what we need right now. And they will also be backup support. So if somebody does need support, and also at the end of the session we've also got all the numbers on the process of support lines, the SADC lines, the CIPLA lines. There are so many support areas. So we're not going to just throw the issues up in the air and then walk out and say, okay, we've done our job. This is so that there is a long-term benefit for the organization and the individual themselves.
I love that. And so I love the fact that there's a process and there's a plan, there's a takeaway for the individual and the organization. Um, in terms of the organization as well, is this something that then becomes a routine, like health check, that they have to kind of get in, like we've done our batch, but as we know, there's always the fact that people leave, you get induction, new people. Is this something that you would then say becomes a way of it's incorporated and ingrained as part of the organizational's journey and a continuous, or is this a once-off? Is the skills that they can then have? What does continuity for the business look like so that this becomes part of their culture to make sure that they're checking in with their people?
Anyone? Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go.
I think one of the driving forces behind us starting this was there are amazing EAPs and organizations. There are amazing people dedicated to the well-being of people in organizations. However, sometimes they are not seen in the light that they need to be seen in. They're seen as career limiting. They're seen as, I'm going to expose myself and everybody in the organization is going to know I went there. So what we also wanted to do with these conversation starters is saying, look what support system is out there. So it was a voice for the EAPs to come forward and say, we are here and your well-being is important to us. So that was one of the starters on it. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, and I think one of the other big things that when it comes to mental health issues is shame. People feel enormous shame. And there's no shame attached to anything like this. I mean, at the moment, I think people who've never experienced any mental health issues before are coming face to face with themselves in ways they never ever thought was possible. And the other thing is, our hope is that because these sessions would happen in groups, that peers would start to support each other. If they see somebody in their team who's not coping, that they can be there for them or in ways that they never were before.
I think, Leah, I mean, your point of, does it have longevity? Should a company, it's not just a one-hit wonder and then moving on.
This is not
Tick the box.
gin. This is water, just so you all know.
Whatever you believe.
Leah, Leah, we're dealing with our own issues with Judy at the moment, and she believes that's water. And,
I'll take it because I hardly drink, so I can say, okay.
we're not the big drinkers here. So, yeah, I mean, one would hope, and one would certainly encourage companies to not make it a once-off. That it would be something that they would find so valuable and see the value in it that it would reoccur at various intervals. We are at the moment, the monologues are dealing rather with the effect that COVID has on the mental health in the workplace. That's just one aspect of it. There are so many other aspects, and it changes all the time. So we would definitely have other offerings. So it is something, but all around mental health, that companies would be able to come back to us and say, look, could we look at this now? Can we address that? And we would be able to assist with that. So we would definitely not want to see it as a sort of,
Once-off wonder.
Once-off, no.
Wow. I think I'm inspired, and it kind of maybe it's also because I'm biased because I've seen you in action, but the excitement of the shifts that you're going to help not just individuals but organizations make is exciting. But exciting because it has this positive result. And Judy, you talked about being on social media. I tend to be one of those that is also observant of what's going on out there. And yes, certainly, to Charlotte's point, there's financial issues that are triggering. The pandemic is a trigger. It's your surroundings, being alone. Some people are isolated alone. Some people spend so much time at work that they're seeing more of who they never saw before too often. And that on its own is also, a challenge for individuals. So if you had to give a great message, a 1-minute message each on you know, this is my message to you, individual. This is my message to you, organization. What would that message be in terms of encouraging this culture?
Now
It's a
you've got
good
us.
question. You know, we were just talking, we had a meeting yesterday, and what we were saying yesterday is that the three of us, what we have in passion for people and for challenging the change and making and getting people to understand their worth and their ability, because we don't often recognize or realize that. We also we are just awful at sales. So you now coming and saying, give us a 1-minute sales pitch. It's the elevator pitch. And we all know, we know it. We've all practiced it 100 times, and we've taken years to get to the point of going, this is what we do. This is what it is. But
if I can say one thing, I'm not going to...
Sydney again. Am I gone?
Charles, you did stop.
Yes, Charles.
Carry on.
I thought it was you stopping.
She
Yes,
stopped.
Judy, you could go ahead.
Just one thing that we were observing, I was observing with a co-facilitator today, is that yes, we're on Zoom. Yes, we're having endless Zoom meetings right now. But are we having the human conversations we really need beyond strategy, KPIs, goals? We need them, every single person right now, as well as the executives who are dealing with their direct reports who are not coping. The execs are not coping right now either. They're having to manage their people in an environment which might be completely disarming for them. So yes, I think it's essential that we start looking at humanity again, especially now where we're not in physical contact, where we're not in direct contact. Conversations become even more critical right now than they were 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, and I also think organizations have their processes so in place, and they're continuing with those processes. Maybe it's time to just turn around and look at your people and actually give the people that time, because your business is nothing if it's just process, if your people are not fully vested in by the companies.
Thank you, ladies. And if organizations or individuals are looking for you, how do they find you? And interesting enough, we've been talking about individuals and organizations. A question to both. Obviously, the package and what I've understood is that it's offered to organizations that are buying it for their people. If I'm an individual and I want your help, I think this could help me. Do you have public offers that you're offering? So what does that look like?
We linked up with clinical psychologists, so we have got, if somebody needs individual support, we have got clinical psychologists and occupational therapists that we can then veer you towards. We are not clinical psychologists ourselves, we are facilitators, and we know how to have conversations. However, we will steer them in the direction they need around this, and we have got support for them. In terms of business, they can contact us on, they can go to our website, www.roleplay.com. Sorry, should I say that again, maybe, girls? www.roleplay.co.za, and all our details of how to contact us are on there. But www.roleplay.co.za.
Thank you so much for that, Judy. It is a tongue twister, which is why I like to say hashtag PRPT, right? I think I said that right this time. But I love the colors. They're as colorful as you, and what an incredible team. I saw the video, And I will be sharing the details at the end of this video if I can edit it and share it. We do apologize that we were not able to be live. We are working with the new work order and the fact that ESCOM, unfortunately, is load shedding to keep us all warm and intact and balance us out. But it was incredible to connect with you ladies and just get an understanding of what you're positioning. And I think that it is so great that we need to share this as wide as possible. This is available globally. So if you're watching this and you're wondering how you could reach out to Performance Roleplay Training, they're not just in South Africa. You can reach out to them and they will make it happen wherever you are. So this is what makes it exciting. Ladies, I am honored. I am humbled as a fan and of your work and the amazing things that you do. Thank you for making a positive impact and a shift in our society and for building such an incredible company that stands for so many great things and having such an incredible team that helps us achieve these amazing milestones that you're making out there. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.